Getting into match day 17. Oh, it started on a Friday. Obviously my boys kicked it off. It was a good week. It was a decent week. A couple of decent results. Obviously one result didn't finish, obviously, because of certain scenario that happened in the game, which obviously we'll get into. But no, a really decent week. Match day 17. I'll also do the match day 18 predictions as well. We got a game this evening, which is at Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace v Brighton, which we'll get into a little bit later. But started off with my boys, City ground, Nottingham Forest 0, Spurs 2. And I told you, like, my boys, they like to do things the hard way. Always like to do things the hard way. That was an easy game to win for us, and we made it twice as hard. I don't know why we do it. Getting the simple things wrong, can't string a couple of passes together. The actual state of play itself is quite decent. I like the spells that we have. I like the transitions we have when we get the ball over the halfway line. Obviously, the wing backs tend to obviously be inverted and obviously try to act like wingers to give more support to the front guys, which is obviously executed very, very well, especially for the first goal. No, really, really impressed with the goals, but overall style of play is decent, but we just make too many mistakes. Another red card for Basuma as well, so he's now going to be out because he's got the AFCON as well. A month and a half, I think. He's back in February. So he'll serve a 4-game ban, which obviously he'll be away for, and then obviously he'll go off to the African Cup of Nations anyway, so he's not going to get back till February anyway. So we'll get into the game. 2-0 to Tottenham. Richarlison is on a really good run of form at the moment. Has 3 goals in his last 2 games, another header, another assist for Dejan Kulusevski, who for me was man of the match. He himself got the second. Really good goal with his wrong foot as well, left-footed, but obviously he scored with his right foot. Really good all-round performance from him. Other than him, potentially Ben Davis was excellent as well, I thought, on the Friday. But other than those, I can't really sort of pick out a star man. Son was a bit anonymous after what he did against Newcastle. Not much happened from him. I thought the midfield, especially when Brennan Johnson went off, and obviously we tried to go sort of a free midfield with Oliver Skip. I thought that freed up too much space for Nottingham Forest to exploit, and exploit they did. They got in and around us quite well after Brennan Johnson went off injured, and found a whole bunch of joy. Had a goal disallowed as well, which was rightfully disallowed from Anthony Elanga. And then Basuma's red card. I don't know what it is. He's a good player. I like Basuma. I like the style that he plays. I like the fact that he's in the pivot. I like that he can control games. But since his first red card against Luton, he hasn't had the same influence. So I'm guessing maybe a bit of time out of the team would obviously click him back over into form. I'm guessing the time away would obviously do him a world of good as well. But overall, 3 points, I can't really knock it. Nottingham Forest gave a good account of themselves. They've actually sacked Steve Cooper since that result. And our old manager, Nuno Espirito Santo, has now gone there. So make of that what you will. I think Nottingham Forest would have been absolutely fine with Steve Cooper there. But now that Nuno's back, he likes to deploy a 5 at the back. Quite defensive-minded manager as well. So it'll probably stop goals going in. Canter, but it's not going to stop you scoring goals, is it? It's not going to start scoring goals either. So one to look out for. Bournemouth versus Luton, that was from the Vitality Stadium. So that was 1-1 at the time. Obviously, Tom Lockyer actually ended up having a heart attack on the pitch. So he suffered a cardiac arrest. Obviously, we had this before the start of the season, just after the promotion cup final that they had. He suffered a cardiac arrest there as well. This is pretty similar, pretty scary stuff, of course. But to my understanding, I think he's on the mend at the moment. I think he got ejected from hospital today, and now he's sort of, recovering at home at the moment. Personally, on that one, I think he should just retire. There was a player about a month ago that had heart problems as well, and sort of went to every club under the sun you could think of. And then ultimately his demise came on the pitch. So Listen to the doctors, listen to what people tell you. Hearts are no joke, man, seriously. Personal one for me as well, obviously. Obviously those that know will know, I won't obviously go into it, but yeah, heart problems, heart disease, heart issues, you know, not good, not good. So Tom Lockyer, yeah, just try and take care of yourself, really, to be quite honest with you. Live another day. Yeah, I you know, call it a day after that, to be quite honest, because that's too scary, and 2 heart attacks in close proximity as well. It's not even 6 months, so something to think about. But that game was obviously postponed, and they decided to rearrange a new time and date for when that entirety of that game can take place. Bournemouth versus Luton, that will be at the Vitality Stadium. Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 0. I actually had this one as a Sheffield United win, based on the fact that Chelsea was so terrible. Chelsea actually showed up a little bit for this game, got the job done. Very, very workmanlike Chelsea this was. It wasn't sort of, you know, play them off the park type Chelsea. None of the sort of big hitters sort of could get into the game. Sheffield United did well in stifling them as well as they did, but individual brilliance, I wouldn't even say individual brilliance, sorry, I'd more say sort of more quality on the ball. Chelsea obviously have that over Sheffield United in abundance, and they end up winning 2-0 at Stamford Bridge. Still off the boil for me, Chelsea, to be quite honest. Don't seem as on it, don't seem to be clicking. I know they had a really, really good win midweek, lucky win to be quite honest. Kieran Trippier giving away a goal for Newcastle in the Carabao Cup 2 nights ago. Chelsea obviously winning on penalties in that game too, so they are sort of mounting a little bit of a winning mentality again. But Chelsea, they don't look good. They don't look good at all, and obviously time will tell to see where they end up back end of this season. Shock number 1 of the weekend was at the Etihad, funnily enough. Manchester City versus Crystal Palace. Now, I had this one as a Manchester City win, and I thought they'd win about 3 or 4-1. Palace scored the last minute penalty in the Elise, I think it was. Yeah, Elise in the 96th minute, I think, to earn Palace a point. Palace always seem to go there and nick a result. I don't know what it is. They're one of those teams, especially for Man City at Manchester City, that they can't seem to shake off. And it's happened to them again. Palace have gone there, they've nicked a couple of goals, and they've given a really good account of themselves. And Man City can't seem to shake them. I do believe Man City are still going to end up winning this league, but they need to pick up form quickly. I think they've only won 1 game in their last 6. And I think that was against Luton. Premier League, I'm talking. I think they've drawn the last 5, which is insane when you think about it. And the amount of goals they're conceding as well at the moment. Currently 4th in the league. Currently 4 points off the top, which isn't, you know, a million miles away. But for a team like City at the moment, you'd expect them to motor after the New Year's period. Newcastle 3, Fulham 0. Formality result, that one for me. Newcastle at St James's Park. They usually tend to do well there, especially in the league. They don't lose many. So it told again. Raul Jimenez sent off for Fulham. I didn't actually see the game or the incident, but obviously I know he got sent off. Bit of a shocker, that one, for Fulham, considering they were on really, really decent form before that. Obviously Fulham too have gone ahead to get into the Carabao Cup semi-final by beating Everton midweek. Speaking of Everton, they were at Turf Moor last week and they ended up winning 2-0. Sean Dyche's return to Turf Moor. Again, formality result for Everton. I thought Everton would beat them probably by more. Dwight McNeil, obviously very instrumental in a lot of the good things that Everton are doing at the moment. I believe Doucouré got injured in that game, which is not good, but obviously still needs to be decided on his fitness. But Everton look really, really decent at the moment. They come to my beloved this weekend, which we'll obviously get into in a little while. And I believe they currently, Arsenal and Liverpool, Aston Villa, of course, up there in the top 4 with best form in the league at the moment. So, no, kudos to Everton. I think they've only lost 1 game since the 10-point deduction was a thing, and that was to Man United at home. But since then, they've been absolutely flawless, and I don't think they've conceded a goal in that time either. So Sean Dyche doing what Sean Dyche does. West Ham 3, Wolverhampton 0. A little bit of a shock, that one, considering West Ham played in Europe as well. West Ham got knocked out by Liverpool last night in the Carabao Cup 5-1. But they won this game 3-0. last week Sunday. That was on Super Sunday. That was the first game that was up. I thought Wolves would give it a bit more of an account of themselves, considering West Ham may have been a bit tired, a little bit lethargic because of the European excursions, but not to be. Not to be. West Ham have really good value for their money. Jared Bowen on the score sheet again. He's currently the top English goal scorer at the moment. Ollie Watkins is close by behind him at the moment, I believe, as well. Speaking of Ollie Watkins, he got in, not a skirmish, but obviously had a bit of a banter back and forth with the fan who was giving him jip all day. He obviously went back to the G-Tech Stadium where Brentford played Aston Villa. Yeah, just a bit of banter on his part. Nothing racial, obviously, which he stated as well. Literally just the fan giving him shit all day. And yeah. Watkins ended up scoring and giving it back to him. Yeah, mad game as well. 2 red cards, 2 needless red cards. Just a lot of play acting for me. Emiliano Martinez and Neil Maupay. If you haven't seen it, try to catch it on YouTube. It's the most ridiculous thing you're going to see. Throwing themselves on the ground, sort of shoulder barging each other. I think Emiliano Martinez, 1 point with Maupay on the ground, tried to pick him up by his shirt, ended up taking his shirt off over his head. It was just a whole madness. But if you haven't seen it, go and have a look at it, man. It's funny, seriously. Brentford 1, Aston Villa 2. Aston Villa keep up their great form. Currently 3rd in the league at the moment, just behind Liverpool and Aston Villa. Yeah. I don't know where this Villa team can end up this season. I really don't. It's a tough one for me to kind of gauge, because they've got a squad. They've got a really, really decent squad. Are that squad capable of going all the way, especially with the European excursions they run at the moment? I'm not so sure. But at the moment, they're going great guns at the minute, Aston Villa at the moment. So, and they've got a really winnable game tomorrow as well, which we'll obviously get into whilst at home. On to the Emirates. That is Arsenal 2, Brighton 0. Not much more to say about that formality fixture. I had a hunch Arsenal would probably nick this. And yeah, nick it. I'm not saying they nicked it. Brighton were not good on the day. Arsenal doing what Arsenal have been doing at home now for the best part of a couple of years. Just beating teams at home. Easy. Not much more to say on that. They ain't going to win the league this season either. I still think that's reserved for Manchester City, and I think Liverpool will be the closest runners. As Jose Mourinho said, he doesn't think Arsenal will be in a title race either, and I don't see it neither. They need a striker. The goalkeepers aren't good enough, and they are a couple of injuries away of capitulating like they did last season as well. And with European excursions, they've got 2 in the Champions League. I think they got drawn up against FC Porto in the Champions League once that draw was obviously made. Yeah, watch this space for them. Liverpool 0, Manchester United 0. That was from Anfield, and probably one of the worst Liverpool-Manchester United games I've seen in a long time. Liverpool were not at it. Raphael Varane, man of the match, absolutely. Nothing got past him. A Man United red card as well, Diogo Dalot, which was, I think, a bit soft. But Liverpool didn't do enough to warrant the win. I heard Virgil van Dijk saying Man United only came to sort of play one way. Liverpool obviously were the clear, front runners and wanting to win the game, but they didn't put their chances away. They had quite a fair few of them as well, but Man United defended well. Very, very resolute. A good point for them. Maybe something that they can build on. But Liverpool Man United is one of those games where both sets of teams are usually up for it, so I wouldn't be holding my breath so much with regards to other results coming their way. On to the predictions then. So we got a game tonight, as I said before. Crystal Palace are at home to Brighton at Selhurst Park. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff tonight. It's got draw written all over it from me. I think both teams will score. That's got 1-1 written all over it from me, so I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw there. On to tomorrow evening. We've got Aston Villa versus Sheffield United. That's at 8 o'clock as well. Aston Villa, obviously. I'm just thinking about the scoreline. I think Aston Villa will take that 3-0. There's meant to be a game postponed. Yeah, it is. Here it is. Man City versus Brentford. I think I read that earlier. Yeah, postponed Man City Brentford to be announced at a different time slot and date. So that won't be taking place tomorrow. West Ham versus Manchester United is the 12:30 kickoff on Saturday. That's tough on Man United. Don't like going to West Ham. Even though they did go to West Ham was it last season or the season before, when Cristiano was there, and they ended up winning that game. But usually not a ground United like to play at. I can see West Ham nicking a goal here. I will go with a 2-1 win West Ham here. I think they'll win that game against Manchester United. On to the 3 o'clock kickoffs on Saturday. Tottenham versus Everton. That's the first Tottenham 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday for about 2 months now. Can you guys remember the last one? Tottenham versus Everton. Everton in really good form, exploiting set pieces. Haven't lost in the last 4, have not conceded in the last 4. They will concede this game. I'm going to go with a 3-1 Tottenham win. I know Spurs are going to be without Destiny Udogie. Obviously, he's Basuma. But that shouldn't shy away from the fact that we've got too much firepower against an Everton team which have been defending quite well, but usually do come unstuck when they come to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And I do see Tottenham scoring 3 goals. Everton, I do see nicking 1 via a set piece, because that is their bread and butter. So 3-1 Spurs for me. Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth. Nottingham Forest, of course, under new management, Nuno. Bournemouth obviously going great guns. Obviously not a great result for them. Not last time out. They obviously had a game just stopped with Luton. But I think the game before that, I know they beat Man United 3-0. No, Bournemouth are actually doing all right. Yeah, Bournemouth are doing okay. We'll go for a draw. We'll go for a draw. 1-1 Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth there for me. Fulham versus Burnley. The Fulham win all day from Craven Cottage. I will go 2-0 on that one. Luton Town versus Newcastle. That is from Kenilworth Road. We know how much of a fortress Kenilworth Road is to Luton these days. Very, very tough place to go. Against a Newcastle team that's still waiting on injuries to get back as well. I'm going to go with a Luton Town win on this one. I think Luton will take this. I think Luton will win this 2-1. Liverpool versus Arsenal. That is the evening kickoff on Saturday from Anfield under the lights. It's got Liverpool win all written all over it, hasn't it? Jurgen Klopp obviously doing his best to get the crowd involved as well with his comments today. Not happy with the Anfield faithful, so he wants a bit more from them, and obviously they will deliver. Arsenal, yeah, Liverpool for me. I think Liverpool take this game. I'm going to go with a 3-1 Liverpool win here. Wolverhampton versus Chelsea from Molineux. One of those games that I feel like Wolves will turn up in, especially after the last outing, which was not great. Gary O'Neill will have them riled up for this, especially at home. Chelsea do not like to be physically dominated, and Wolves are just that, especially in the midfield area. Sarabia plays, I think, Wolverhampton wins because he likes to pick up pockets and obviously make things happen. We'll go with a Wolverhampton win over Chelsea here. We are going to go with a 2-1. Both teams to score there. And that's my roundup of match day 18. Match day 19 is actually going to conclude on Tuesday the 26th. That's on Boxing Day, of course. And the opening kickoff to that is Newcastle versus Nottingham Forest from St James's Park. So what I'll do is after the 24th, obviously you got Christmas Day. I might do one on Christmas Day. It's my birthday, by the way, as well. I might do one for the upcoming fixtures for then, to obviously keep the regulation going. So that'll be my match day 19 roundup. But yeah, until then, enjoy your Christmas. New Year's around the corner as well. But eat as much as you want, eat as much as you can. Be safe. Enjoy the football. Enjoy all the sports. And I'll speak to you in a couple of days' time. In a bit.